All right, welcome to another episode of the Cheerful Sound Man. We have some additional questions today, some things we'll be talking about and discussing as you potentially take a journey into the events world, or perhaps you're already here working in the events world. All right, so question of the day. First question is, how do you know if production is right for you? So getting into the world of production, either as a new person, or maybe I will also approach it from like you're dabbling a little bit or doing a little bit of volunteering at your church or at a school or something like that, and you're wondering if maybe you should get into production full-time. The first thing, the number one thing I would say is passion. So do you have a passion for the work? In other words, do you like going to concerts and events? When you're at a concert or event, are you thinking about how it sounds or looks? Are you an avid music listener or a music enjoyer? Those are kind of the things first and foremost, and those are the things that really got me into it as well. Was I played in bands, I just loved music, and then as I started to get kind of behind the scenes as we were playing bigger venues, I was starting to see, oh, this is what it takes to actually pull this off. Oh, you need these bigger speakers, you need these lights, and for me it was a labor of love and passion. But I think for everybody at every level, some level of passion or desire, or even like an inkling of passion of like, oh, I want to explore more or find out more. I think that's really the starting point for all careers or all, vocational paths, but especially in this one, because otherwise it makes it really difficult to, put in the 16 to 20 hour days that you do have to put in, not every day, but regularly for shows, working in the heat or difficult conditions, fast in and out of shows, all the different challenges. It is very both physically and mentally challenging and exhausting at times. So passion is, for me, the number one starting place. Number two, I would say, is, are you tech savvy or even artistic works for certain, at certain levels? So if you want to become a lighting designer, are you into color palettes and how colors blend and what colors go with what and how you could, reflect off of things? Or, a lot of the audio guys like myself, we were really into music and recording music, and it kind of started with that. So for me, it started with a little 4-track recorder in our garage and trying to record our band, and then just kind of got more and more interested in how to do that and the elements that went into it, how to place the microphone, things like that. And then with that too, if you're tech savvy, are you the person that people come and ask questions to? If something's not working, or their camera or their phone or whatever, are you that person? Again, not necessarily do you have to be at that level, but it definitely is one of those kind of indicators that it might be right for you. Are you into that sort of thing? Next up, we have, do you have endurance? This is a huge one because, again, most of at least in our world of production, in the festival and concert world, you do have to regularly be okay with and able to function in a 12 plus hour day. Sometimes you're blessed with a beautiful indoor gig in a theater. Sometimes you get a nice gig here in Florida in November where it's 70 degrees and beautiful. But at least for where we are, more often than not, it's 95 degrees. You're going to sweat out about 10 bottles of water an hour. And it's going to be very difficult. Going to require a lot of rest and recovery. And in my opinion, the people who do better are people who do eat well and sleep well and have other good habits outside of that. Those things are not necessary at the beginning, but they get increasingly necessary as you get older. So do you have endurance? Are you able to work those long hours? We have had a couple of people over the years who've had different health issues and things like that had to resign for their own sake because those long hours were wearing on them. And that can be kind of a difficult thing for all parties involved, but it is, while we try not to abuse people and put people on those type of hours day in, day out, if you're going to be a production technician working regularly, those are the type of hours for this industry. So it can be rather difficult. And then I also think kind of with that endurance piece is, and again, not necessary, but it's a good indicator. Night owls, I feel like, do better in this industry than our morning folks. Now, we have some great morning folks that run our office and make sure phones are answered during the day and logistics are scheduled and trucks and generators and all these things happen while the rest of the world is doing business. But when you look at the reality of it, is most of our business is done when other people, normal people, get off of work. So if you come to a concert, doors are at 7 o'clock. We've been there since the morning or noon or something like that. and then we'll be there for hours after you leave the concert after having a great time. So a lot of our folks, if they don't start out as night owls, they become night owls, or at least close to it. So being able to stay up, work long hours, those type of things, and being okay with, okay, it's 3 a.m. and I'm not home yet. Again, those are all, don't mean to, maybe I'm scaring folks off. Maybe that's a good thing. I am trying to be honest and straightforward with what the job entails and what the industry entails. So then another big one, and I think this is one that separates folks very quickly, is aesthetic. So kind of being somewhat of a perfectionist as far as aesthetic goes. So what I mean by that is, are you a person who walks in a room and looks at something and says, oh, everything's a little bit out of center, it's not quite right looking? Or I know I notice and always have, like, cables drooping in a weird manner. Sometimes it annoys our employees and people, because I'll come in after they've done a long, hard day's work and, come in and say, oh, that's where we're leaving the cables, or something like that. I try to say it in a nice way, but I'll come in and point some of those things out. So some of our designers and the production managers and kind of the people who end up at the highest levels, that's really what separates also the highest levels from your average production tech or production company. Where is that attention to detail? Are we wiping things down so they look clean and shiny and sharp? Are we running our cable paths in neat lines together and taping them? All those little things. And so if that's something that you kind of get into, is the clean aesthetic and how things look, then I think production is a possible avenue for you. Yeah, those are kind of the main ones. And then I think also, if you're going to be in concert and festival production, again, I think I started with this, but a love for music is a huge one. And we do a lot of festivals for music that I don't even necessarily enjoy, but I enjoy music, festivals, concert, and production so much that I still enjoy those concerts for what they are, especially as I look around and I see how many other people are enjoying them, because I can relate to that experience. So just because it's not a reggae show or a jazz show or a rock show or something that I'm like super into, doesn't mean you can't enjoy the fruits of your labor and what you've produced. And I do think that, just circling back to number one again, passion, that is kind of the number one thing, is just really loving what you do, because that'll get you through those long days. It'll even kind of, to a degree, get you through corporate work and other things, of knowing like, hey, I'm making it sound, like it should, louder for everyone, so they can hear the message, be clear, all those things.